Now, by the way, this trial is expected, according to the experts, to last 4 to 6 weeks. And it's going to be a couple of things. First of all, it's going to be a primer on the inner workings of this terrorist organization. It's like a U.S. version of ISIS, and that's the Oath Keepers. And it's also going to be kind of a test case for the charge of seditious conspiracy. And by the way, that is the most serious charge that the U.S. government has brought so far against any of these scum. 900 people roughly so far have been charged in what they attempted to do on January 6, 2021. Now, what will prove, I think, fatal to any pissy little defense that Mr. Linder, Stuart Rhodes' attorney, can put up will be this. During the trial, prosecutors are going to use the scum bastard Stuart Rhodes' own words in virtual meetings, letters to his members, and encrypted text messages. They're going to use his own words to show how fiercely this Nazi fuck wanted to overthrow the government of the United States after Biden won. And Stuart Rhodes, as insane as this fucker is, became more and more convinced that the only thing keeping Trump in power, possible way to keep Trump in power, was to use this so-called militia gang of skunks and rats called the Oath Keepers in order to prevent Joe Biden from assuming the office of the presidency. And according to Mr. Nestler, he's one of the prosecutors, the conspiracy culminated on January 6th. That's when more than a dozen members of the Oath Keeper made their little stacks military move into the Capitol itself. And some of them were specifically in search of Nancy Pelosi. Can you fucking believe this? That's one of the people they were after. What were they going to do to her? They were going to kill her. Now, according to the prosecutor, other members of this seditious organization of dumb fucks were stationed at what they called a quick reaction force. Hey, I'm part of the quick reaction force. Hey, man. Yeah, right. They were staying at the Comfort Inn Hotel in Arlington County, Virginia, which is right across the Potomac from Washington, in case things went wrong. They're staying at the Comfort Inn Hotel. Oh, my God. Oh, and by the way, they had grenades. That's come out in the trial, too. Now, another key aspect of this trial, once it gets chunking along, will be the relationship between these scummy fucking terrorist cowards and Trump. And he's a man that they supported as president in spite of the fact that these filthy, cowardly pricks profess to be so anti-government. Well, they're not anti-government. They're pro-Christian Nazism. So the Oath Keepers, by the way, was founded during the Obama administration, allegedly because the Oath Keeper scum said, well, we're going to oppose an overreaching government. You lying fuckers, you. You didn't like the fact that a black man was president. You lost your shit over it. A black man president? Oh, MFG, what's going to happen next? Plus, the Oath Keepers were great advocates of this deep state bullshit, these conspiracy theories that come out of QAnon, that, you know, there is a deep state. It's all liberal, Jewish, progressive, child molesting cannibals. Oh, my God. Ooh. Now, the Times goes on to say this, quote, because of the nature of the Oath Keepers' defense, and because of the government's wealth of evidence, The trial is less likely to focus on disputes over what the group did in the days and weeks leading up to January 6th than it is to hinge on the question of why they did it. Right. I think it would be, I could be confident in saying the reason they did it is because they were trying to overthrow the government of the United States and execute people like Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence and God knows who else. This is what terrorists do when they finally make their move and get the power. What, they're going to lock up political prisoners? No, come on. What they're going to do is execute them immediately before their new political prisoners can rally the general population to come and rescue them. Murder is what these fuckers are about. So the U.S. government that's prosecuting this case contends that Stuart Rhodes and his scum 4 co-defendants willingly planned to use force against the government and were involved in carrying out their attacks, even though the Orange Vomit never did publicly invoke the Insurrection Act. See, at bottom, Trump is a fucking slivering, shivering little worm of a coward. Trump is the biggest coward ever to occupy any elected office, as far as I'm concerned. So he gets the word to his troops, but he does it in such a way that nothing can be, well, so he hopes, tracked back to him, because he's a cowardly little prick. And I'll tell you something that Donald Trump doesn't understand. Huh? And this may be stepping into unfamiliar territory for me. But had this worked, one of the first people, once he was no longer valuable to them, that the terrorists would have gotten rid of would have been a bullet in the back of the head to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an ignorant son of a bitch who has the power to cause weak-willed Christians to respond to his bullshit. But once the response is adequate, where the power is no longer in Donald Trump's hands or any one person, then you have the committee is formed. And you have to get rid of Trump. Trump is an evil fuck, but he's no Mussolini. He's no Hitler. He is a stupid son of a bitch. So a bullet to the back of the head of Donald J. Trump would have been the next step for these people once they consolidated their bloody takeover of the United States. And I base that on history. Now, the defense of these scum tries to say that the Oath Keepers could not have tried to stop the transfer of power because they believed that the Insurrection Act would have allowed them to legally come to Trump's aid. Go figure. Go figure. This is the defense this dumb shit lawyer is making for these terrorists. And the defense also maintains that these terrorists were primarily concerned with potential violence by, the black people, the liberals, the Jews, the counter-protesters. And the terrorists instituted the so-called quick response force to prevent attacks from organizations like Antifa. That's what one of these piss-fucking lawyers told the jury. Oh, yeah. The protesters, like, Black Lives Matter and white people who believe in equal justice under law. Yeah, we would have attacked them with our signs and our banners, right? While these filthy scum were armed to the teeth with their guns and hand grenades and torture instruments. Jesus Christ. So according to one of these lawyers, one of these filthy goddamn lawyers who are representing these filth, he said that this whole trial is just a big bait and switch operation. That the Oath Keepers were just there. We're only here to protect and keep the peace. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.